There was a time when these cities stood tall, their streets filled with life, their temples touching the sky. Kingdoms of power, empires of knowledge, monuments to human ambition. But time is ruthless. Some were abandoned, swallowed by the jungle. Some were buried under the sand, erased by history. And some simply vanished, leaving behind nothing but myths and whispers. For centuries, explorers have searched for answers. What happened to these places? Why were they forsaken? Destroyed by war, by nature, or by something far more mysterious? And perhaps the greatest question of all, what secrets do they still hold? Tonight, we travel into the past, beyond the ruins, beyond the legends, to uncover the stories of the greatest lost cities of our world. Craco, Italy's haunting ghost, city lost to time. Perched on a desolate hilltop in southern Italy, a forgotten city stands frozen in time. Its ancient stone towers, once proud and unshaken, now crumble under the weight of silence. Streets that once bustled with merchants and families are now eerily still. A kingdom of ghosts, where echoes of the past refuse to fade. This is Dot. Craco. For over 1,000 years, it was a city of power, defying invaders and the passage of time. Founded in the 8th century, Craco's strategic location made it nearly untouchable, a fortress watching over the valley below. Generations thrived here. Priests blessed the faithful in grand churches. Farmers tended the land, carving a life from the rocky soil. Life in Craco was steady, strong, unyielding, until the earth itself turned against it. The first signs were small, faint cracks snaking through the walls of ancient homes, stones shifting underfoot. But soon, those cracks became chasms. In 1963, the land beneath Craco began to move, slowly at first, then violently. Landslides ripped through the city, devouring entire buildings. Streets buckled, towers crumbled. What had stood for over 1,000 years was now falling apart, piece by piece. But nature wasn't done. Earthquakes followed, shaking Craco's very foundation. It became impossible for its people to stay. With no other choice, the residents fled, leaving behind their homes, their memories, their history. By the 1980s, Craco was a ghost town, abandoned to time and the elements. Yet, some believe Craco is not empty. Legends speak of shadowy figures moving through the ruins at night, unseen hands brushing against visitors, disembodied whispers carried by the wind. Some say the spirits of those who refused to leave still walk these streets, forever bound to the city they once called home. And then there are the chilling stories of those who dared to explore the ruins, only to feel something watching them, a presence lurking just beyond sight. Craco is more than a lost city. It is a graveyard of memories, a place where history refuses to be buried. Its walls may crumble, its streets may be silent, but its story is far from over. Because some cities never truly die. Pripyat, the frozen ghost, city of Chernobyl. There are lost cities that vanished slowly, swallowed by time and decay. And then there are those that disappeared in an instant, erased by catastrophe, frozen in a moment of terror. Pripyat was one of them. Once it was a thriving Soviet city, built to house the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, a symbol of progress, a vision of the future, wide boulevards lined with towering buildings, schools filled with laughter, a grand amusement park, its Ferris wheel standing tall, waiting to bring joy to thousands. But that future never came. On April 26, 1986, the unimaginable happened. Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded, unleashing a wave of invisible death. A force so powerful, so destructive, that it would poison the land for centuries. At first, there was silence. Then, confusion. The people of Pripyat awoke to a world forever changed, yet unaware of the danger creeping through the air. The radiation was invisible. It had no sound, no smell, but it was already inside them, seeping into their homes, their bodies, their future. By the time the evacuation order came, 36 hours later, it was already too late. Buses lined the streets. Families were told they'd return in a few days. They left everything behind. Their homes, their memories, their lives. They never came back. Today, Pripyat stands as a chilling monument to disaster. Classrooms remain frozen in time, chalkboards still covered in lessons no one ever finished. Dolls lie scattered in empty nurseries, untouched for decades. And the rusting Ferris wheel, meant to open just days after the explosion, never spun with laughter, only with the wind. But the most haunting part of Pripyat isn't what was left behind. It's what some say still lingers. Visitors tell stories of strange shadows moving in the ruins, of eerie whispers when no one is around, of distant footsteps echoing through the empty streets. Some believe the spirits of those who never escaped still wander through the city, forever trapped. In the moment when time stopped, the radiation may fade, the buildings may crumble, but the echoes of that fateful night will never be silenced. Pripyat is a lost city, not because it was forgotten, but because it can never be erased. Atlantis, the lost civilization beneath the waves. For centuries, explorers, historians, and dreamers have searched for a city that may never have existed. A civilization so advanced, so powerful, that it defied the gods themselves, only to vanish beneath the sea. This is the legend of Atlantis. The story begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who, over 2,300 years ago, wrote of a magnificent island civilization, a kingdom of unparalleled wealth and knowledge, its cities adorned with grand temples, glittering towers, and streets paved with gold. A utopia, an empire of warriors and scholars, blessed with technology far beyond its time. But power breeds arrogance, and according to legend, the people of Atlantis grew corrupt, challenging the very gods who had once favored them. Their punishment, swift, absolute, one fateful day in a single cataclysmic event. Atlantis was swallowed by the ocean, erased from the face of the earth. But was it just a myth, or could Atlantis have been real? Some believe it was nothing more than a story, a cautionary tale of human pride and divine wrath. But others refuse to accept that explanation. Over the centuries, theories have placed Atlantis everywhere, beneath the Mediterranean, in the depths of the Atlantic, even hidden under the Antarctic ice. Some point to Santorini, an island ravaged by a volcanic eruption thousands of years ago, as the real Atlantis, its ruins lost beneath the Aegean Sea. And then, there are the discoveries, ancient underwater structures, mysterious maps showing land masses that no longer exist, stories from lost civilizations eerily similar to Plato's account. Could Atlantis have been real? Could an entire civilization have vanished, leaving only fragments of truth behind? Or is it still out there, waiting to be found? Until we uncover the truth, Atlantis remains the greatest lost city of all time. A kingdom swallowed by the sea, a legend that refuses to die. Yaxha, the lost Maya city, swallowed by the jungle. Deep within the tangled heart of the Guatemalan jungle, hidden beneath layers of earth and time, stand the ruins of a forgotten empire. Towering pyramids pierce the sky. Ancient stone carvings whisper secrets of a lost civilization. The jungle has reclaimed Yaxha, but its story is far from over. This was once a mighty city of the Maya, a civilization that rivaled the greatest empires of the ancient world, a place of kings, astronomers, and warriors. A city of sacred temples, grand plazas, and vast causeways stretching toward the horizon. At its peak, Yaxha was home to tens of thousands, a thriving center of knowledge and power. But then, the jungle took it back. No one knows exactly why the great Maya cities fell. Some say war, others famine and drought. Perhaps the gods they once worshipped turned their backs on them. One by one, these mighty metropolises crumbled. Their people vanished, leaving behind only stone monuments, temples swallowed by vines, pyramids buried beneath the earth. A once thriving empire, erased by time. And yet, the echoes of Yaxha still remain. Archaeologists have uncovered elaborate hieroglyphs, revealing stories of kings and bloody rituals, of celestial events charted with eerie precision. Deep within the ruins, they found ceremonial altars, places where the Maya once made offerings to their gods, some in the form of jade, others in blood. But perhaps the most unsettling mystery, the jungle itself seems to protect Yaxha. Explorers have told stories of strange noises echoing through the ruins at night. Whispers on the wind, shadows moving through the trees. Some believe the spirits of the Maya never left, that they are still watching, still guarding their city, waiting for the day their empire rises again. A forgotten kingdom, buried beneath the jungle, a civilization lost, yet never truly gone. This is Yaxha, the city, swallowed by time. Easter Island, the lost civilization of the Moai. On a remote island in the vast Pacific Ocean, far from the reach of modern civilization, stand the silent sentinels of a forgotten world, towering stone figures, their hollow eyes staring endlessly across the sea, monuments to a lost civilization, their true purpose still unknown. This is Easter Island, one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. For centuries, this island, known to its native people as Rapa Nui, was home to a thriving society, a civilization that carved over 900 massive stone statues, each weighing up to 80 tons, and transported them across the island without modern tools or machinery. But why? And how? The people of Rapa Nui were master builders, expert navigators, a society that flourished in complete isolation. But then, something happened. The forests vanished, the land became barren. The once mighty civilization collapsed, leaving behind only whispers of its former glory. Some say it was war, famine, environmental destruction, that the people consumed their resources, cut down every tree, and sealed their own fate. Others believe they were wiped out by European contact, disease, and slavery. But some believe the truth is far stranger. Legends speak of supernatural forces, of the Moai possessing power beyond human comprehension. Some believe these statues were not just monuments, but guardians, and when their creators vanished, something ancient and powerful was left behind. Even today, visitors report an eerie presence, as if the statues are still watching, waiting, guarding a secret buried deep beneath the island's soil, a once great civilization, reduced to ruins. A land of giants, now silent, a story, still waiting to be uncovered. Easter Island is not just a place. It is a riddle carved in stone, standing against time itself. Nan Madol, the lost city built on water. In the heart of the Pacific Ocean, hidden among the dense jungles of Micronesia, lies one of the strangest and most mysterious ruins on Earth. A place where massive basalt stones, some weighing over 50 tons, were stacked into towering walls. A lost city, built on the ocean itself and abandoned centuries ago. This is Nan Madol, the Venice of the Pacific. Once, this was the center of power for the Saudeleur dynasty, a kingdom that ruled over Pohnpei from these artificial islands. More than 100 stone islets connected by canals, built directly on a coral reef. No roads, no bridges, just waterways and secrets. But here's the mystery. How was Nan Madol built? No one knows exactly how the ancient builders transported the hundreds of thousands of massive basalt stones needed for construction. The island has no large quarries. The stones must have been brought from miles away, across treacherous waters. Some believe they were floated on rafts. Others claim a more mystical explanation, that the stones were moved by magic. Local legends tell of two sorcerers, Olishepa and Olosopa, who arrived from a distant land. With their supernatural powers, they called upon a flying dragon to lift the giant stones into place. The city flourished, but when the last of their bloodline died, the kingdom collapsed. And then, Nan Madol was abandoned. The jungle swallowed the city. The canals fell silent. To this day, the ruins remain untouched, except by time and something else. Locals believe that Nan Madol is cursed, that anyone who disturbs the ancient site will be met with misfortune or worse. Even modern explorers report strange occurrences. Eerie whispers carried on the wind, the feeling of being watched. A lost city, a kingdom built on water, a mystery still waiting to be solved. This is Nan Madol, the forgotten fortress of the Pacific. Monsanto, the ancient stone village of Portugal. High above the rugged Portuguese landscape, where the winds whisper through ancient stone, and time itself stands still, lies a village unlike any other. A place where houses are carved into massive boulders, where narrow cobbled streets wind between towering monoliths, a city built within the rocks, as if nature itself had sculpted it. This is Monsanto, a lost relic of a forgotten age. Perched atop the rocky peaks of Castelo Branco, Monsanto has stood for centuries. Its origins buried deep in history. Some say it was once a stronghold of the Lusitanians, fierce warriors who defied the Roman Empire. Others claim its roots stretch even further, to an age when ancient civilizations sought refuge among these unshakable stones. But this city was not simply built. It was forged into the mountain itself. Here, homes are pressed against and beneath enormous boulders, their walls merging seamlessly with the rock. Some dwellings rest entirely beneath the shadow of stones, weighing thousands of tons, as if frozen in time in the moment they tumbled from the heavens. And at its peak, the ruins of an ancient castle still stand, whispering tales of battles, of sieges, of a time when Monsanto was an impregnable fortress, one of Portugal's most strategic strongholds. Even when invaders came, Monsanto never fell. The mountain protected its people, but despite its resilience, time has done what no enemy could. As the world moved forward, Monsanto remained locked in the past, a city too wild, too rugged for modern civilization. Slowly, its people drifted away, leaving only whispers in the wind and stones that have seen centuries of war, legend, and mystery. Yet, those who visit say Monsanto is not silent. The boulders seem to breathe, to watch. Some claim they hear footsteps echoing through the empty streets, feel eyes upon them from the shadows of the ruins. Others believe the spirits of those who once fought for this city still linger, protecting their mountain home from being forgotten. Monsanto is not just a village. It is a fortress frozen in time, where history and legend are carved into the very rock. A city that defied empires and may still guard secrets of its own. Pollepel Island, the abandoned castle of the Hudson River. In the middle of the Hudson River, just north of New York City, lies a forgotten island, a place of mystery, legend, and ruin. For over a century, it has stood as a ghostly relic, a dream that never came true, a castle crumbling in silence, a fortress lost to time. This is Pollepel Island, home to the haunting remains of Bannerman's castle. At the start of the 20th century, a man named Francis Bannerman VI had a vision. A Scottish-born arms dealer, he purchased this isolated island to store his massive collection of military surplus, cannons, rifles, even explosives. But Bannerman didn't just build a warehouse. He built a castle, a fortress inspired by the grand strongholds of Europe. For years, the island was alive, barges arriving, workers hauling crates of old weaponry, the sound of construction echoing across the river. But then, disaster struck. In 1918, Bannerman died, his dream unfinished. And just 2 years later, a massive explosion tore through the island. Much of the castle was obliterated. The cause? Still debated. Some say it was an accident. Others whisper of sabotage. By the mid-20th century, Bannerman's castle was abandoned. Fires ravaged its walls. Storms battered its towers. What was once a mighty fortress became a skeleton of stone and shadow, left to decay in the middle of the river. But Pollepel Island is more than just a ruin. It is a place steeped in legend. For centuries, the indigenous Lenape people feared the island, believing it was haunted by spirits. Early Dutch settlers spoke of ghosts wandering the shore, of strange lights flickering in the darkness. Even today, visitors and passing boaters report unsettling sights, phantom figures moving through the ruins. eerie whispers carried by the wind. Some believe Bannerman's spirit still lingers, watching over his ruined dream. A castle built for glory, a fortress reduced to ruin, a dream lost to time. This is Pollepel Island, New York's forgotten castle. Petra, the lost city of stone. In the heart of the Jordanian desert, hidden among towering sandstone cliffs, lies a city carved not by time, but by human hands, a forgotten civilization, lost for centuries, waiting to be rediscovered. This is Petra, the rose-red city, lost to the sands of time. For over 2,000 years, Petra stood as the great capital of the Nabatean kingdom. A city of wealth, a city of power, a city of impossible engineering. Its people carved monumental temples, tombs, entire buildings, straight into the rock. They created a hidden empire, protected by the cliffs, fueled by a vast trade network. Traders from Arabia, Egypt, Rome, and beyond passed through its streets, carrying silk, spices, secrets. Petra was unstoppable until it wasn't. No one knows exactly why Petra was abandoned. Some say it was devastated by earthquakes, its water systems destroyed. Others blame the rise of new trade routes, which left Petra to fade into obscurity. By the 7th century, the once great city was all but forgotten, swallowed by the desert, erased from history. For nearly 1,000 years, Petra remained hidden, known only to the local Bedouins who guarded its secrets. Then, in 1812, a Swiss explorer, Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, disguised himself as an Arab traveler and convinced his guides to lead him through the Forbidden Canyon. What he saw stunned the world. A city, once lost, now found. And even today, Petra keeps its secrets. Archaeologists are still uncovering hidden chambers, lost tomb, forgotten inscriptions. Some believe that beneath Petra lies an undiscovered network of tunnels and temples, waiting to be revealed. A lost kingdom, a masterpiece of stone, a city that refused to be forgotten. This is Petra Dash, the eternal city of the desert. Carthage, the lost empire of the Mediterranean. Once, there was a city that ruled the seas, a city so powerful it stood against Rome itself, a city that built an empire, only to be erased from history. This is Carthage, the lost empire of the Mediterranean. Founded by Phoenician settlers in 814 BCE, Carthage rose from the shores of North Africa to become one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. A kingdom of wealth, a kingdom of warriors, a kingdom of masterful sailors who commanded trade routes stretching from Spain to the Middle East. But Carthage was not just a city. It was a superpower. Its navy ruled the waves. Its armies, led by the legendary General Hannibal, struck fear into the heart of Rome. For over a century, Carthage and Rome waged war, locked in a brutal struggle for dominance. And for a time, Carthage almost won. Hannibal's forces stormed through Italy, defeating Roman legions again and again. But Rome was relentless. The tide turned, and in 146 BCE, after 3 long wars, the Romans laid siege to Carthage. What happened next was total annihilation. For 3 years, the city resisted, but the Romans would not be denied. They burned Carthage to the ground, slaughtered its people, enslaved the survivors. Legend says they even salted the earth, ensuring that nothing would ever grow there again. Carthage was no longer just defeated. It was erased. For centuries, Carthage remained lost, buried beneath layers of history, even when the Romans rebuilt a new city over its ashes. The true Phoenician Carthage was gone. But today, its secrets are being uncovered. Beneath the ruins of Roman Carthage, archaeologists are finding remnants of the lost empire, hidden tombs, destroyed fortresses, traces of a civilization that once defied the greatest power on earth. A city that refused to surrender, a kingdom lost to fire and war, a forgotten empire, still waiting to tell its story. Hampi, the forgotten empire of India. Deep in the heart of India, where giant boulders tower over the land and the river winds through endless ruins, lies a city once called the greatest in the world, a kingdom of wealth, a kingdom of power, a kingdom of unmatched beauty, until it was reduced to ashes. This is Hampi, the lost empire of Vijayanagara. In the 14th century, Hampi rose as the mighty capital of the Vijayanagara Empire, one of the richest civilizations in history. Its streets were lined with bustling markets, its temples filled with gold, its mighty walls protected a city larger than medieval Paris or Rome. Explorers from Persia, Portugal, and China came to Hampi. They saw a city like no other, an empire unstoppable, its kings ruling over millions. But all great cities have their downfall, and Hampi's came in 1565. The empire fell to an alliance of invading forces. Its mighty defenses were breached. For 6 long months, Hampi burned. Palaces were looted, temples were shattered. A city once alive with prosperity became a graveyard of silence. And then it was abandoned. For centuries, Hampi lay forgotten, hidden in plain sight, its stories buried beneath the rubble. But even in ruin, the city refused to be erased. Today, Hampi is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its ruins stretch for miles, a ghostly reminder of a kingdom that once rivaled the greatest empires on Earth. But even now, mysteries remain. Hidden tunnels, undiscovered chambers, lost inscriptions. They suggest that Hampi's story is far from over. A city of gods and kings, a civilization erased by war, a lost empire still standing. This is Hampi, the last breath of a forgotten kingdom. Cappadocia, the lost underground cities of stone. Beneath the strange, otherworldly terrain of central Turkey lies one of the greatest secrets of the ancient world. A vast network of underground cities, carved into the earth itself, hidden for centuries, forgotten by time. This is Cappadocia, the land of lost cities beneath the stone. For thousands of years, civilizations sought refuge here. The first settlers, possibly the Hittites, dug the first tunnels over 3,000 years ago. But it was the early Christians who expanded them, creating entire subterranean metropolises to escape Roman persecution. And the most incredible of them all, Derinkuyu, a lost city buried 280 feet below the surface. This was no simple shelter. It was a fully functioning city, capable of housing up to 20,000 people, with churches, wine cellars, meeting halls, even an underground school. Air shafts kept oxygen flowing. Hidden doors protected its people from invaders. And for centuries, it remained a secret. No one knew these underground cities existed until 1963, when a man in modern Turkey broke through his basement wall and uncovered a passageway leading to a lost civilization. But Derinkuyu is just one of many. More than 200 underground cities stretch beneath Cappadocia, connected by miles of tunnels. Who built them first? How deep do they go? Some say new levels are still undiscovered. Buried secrets waiting to be revealed, but above ground. The landscape is just as mysterious. Strange rock formations, ancient monasteries, entire villages carved into the cliffs. Once thriving, now silent. A city beneath the earth. A lost world, hidden in stone. This is Cappadocia, the underground empire of the forgotten. Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Inca. High in the Andes Mountains, hidden among the clouds, lies a city untouched by time, a place of mystery, a masterpiece of engineering, a civilization's final secret. This is Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Inca. Built in the 15th century, Machu Picchu was the crowning achievement of the Inca Empire. A city of kings, a city of priests, a city of astronomers, hidden from the outside world. It sat nearly 8,000 feet above sea level, connected by a network of roads known only to the Inca. But then, it was abandoned. When the Spanish conquistadors invaded South America, they destroyed much of the Inca civilization. But they never found Machu Picchu. The city simply vanished into history, swallowed by the jungle, its purpose lost to time. For centuries, the ruins remained hidden, until 1911, when explorer Hiram Bingham stumbled upon its remains. What he found was breathtaking. 200 stone structures, from palaces and temples to agricultural terraces, all designed with perfect precision. Even today, Machu Picchu's true purpose remains a mystery. Was it a royal estate, a sacred temple, an astronomical observatory? No one knows for sure, but one thing is certain. This city was never meant to be forgotten. A kingdom in the clouds, a civilization's last great wonder, a lost city found again. This is Machu Picchu, the immortal city of the Inca. Hierapolis, the sunken city of the dead. In the land of legends, where the earth itself breathes steam and water turns to stone, lies the ruined city of Hierapolis, a place of gods, kings, and the dead. A city of wonders, swallowed by time, and a gateway unto the underworld. This is Hierapolis, the lost city of the ancients. Built by the Greeks in the 2nd century BCE, Hierapolis became a center of wealth, healing, and worship. Its hot springs were believed to have mystical powers, attracting rulers, philosophers, and the sick, all seeking the waters of eternal youth. Under Roman rule, the city flourished. Grand temples, luxurious bathhouses, an amphitheater capable of seating over 12,000 spectators. A city of prosperity, built on sacred ground. But beneath its beauty lay something darker. Hierapolis was home to the gate to Hades, a mysterious temple dedicated to the god of the underworld. Ancient records describe sacrificial rituals where priests led animals into the cave, only for them to collapse, killed by toxic fumes rising from deep within the earth. Even today, scientists have confirmed the presence of deadly carbon dioxide emissions, proving that this so-called gateway to the underworld was more than just a myth, a city of healing built on the doorstep of death. But Hierapolis itself could not escape its fate. A devastating earthquake struck, shattering its temples, burying its streets, leaving its people no choice but to abandon their once thriving home. The city was rebuilt, only to be struck down again and again by the unrelenting power of nature. Eventually, its people left, and Hierapolis was lost to time. For centuries, Hierapolis lay forgotten, buried beneath ruins, whispered about in myth. But today, its secrets are rising once more, a city of gods and ghosts, a place of healing and death. This is Hierapolis, the lost city of the ancients. These cities were once the beating hearts of civilization. Now, they stand as silent reminders of the past, echoes of worlds that once were. What led to their downfall? Was it war, disaster, time itself, or something we still do not understand? They may be ruins now, but they are not forgotten. Their stories remain, buried in the dust, waiting for those who dare to uncover them. Because history never disappears. It waits, it watches, it whispers, and maybe, just maybe, one day, another city will fall, another civilization will fade, and centuries from now, others will search for us, wondering who we were and why we vanished. The past is never truly lost. It only waits to be found.